On the Active Calls tab, this is a new enhancement. We believe with this tab enabled, the dependency on the client-based Viewpoint application should be minimized. Here, within the agent portal, you'll be able to see all of your active calls, not just the calls that are being serviced at this moment, but any calls that are queued up waiting to speak to a member of your staff. Right now, you can see M5 has 3 queue calls being serviced by our Rochester-based Tier 1 and Tier 2 support team. And then let's move to reporting. We've made some significant changes here. The most common report we see in the field, the average call volume and wait time report, is available. If I want to look at last week, note here a much richer charting environment. The report is separated by both data and a graphical format. If you're like me, more of a visual guy, hey, you can hover over these values. This is last week's data at M5, 21.2 calls we received on average last week during the 3 o'clock hour. And during that time period, an average call waited 0.6 minutes. You can adjust the time frame, that data is available going back quite a while. We've enhanced the call log report. This one lets you look at each and every phone call. Say, for example, I want to look at yesterday's calls for my support queue. Here I can see call by call, who called me by caller ID, my rep that answered the call. Same data I had before, but we've added these filters up top. So a lot of our clients want to focus in on those abandoned calls. Here's a great example. The first abandoned call that came into M5 yesterday, and like most firms, you all included, you do get a couple of abandoned calls per day. That person waited 1 minute and 14 seconds before they hang up. But let's focus on this call, someone with the last 4 digits, 3188. What's interesting to see is that person waited maybe a little more than you feel comfortable before hanging up. But if you put them in the filter and look at all, you can see here, did they call back? If they did, fantastic. And in fact, this client called back, waited just 7 seconds before speaking with Timothy. But if they didn't, as you can see here with the number underscored, you can click to call them back. And our clients tell us it's these little features that can separate a good customer service experience from a great customer service experience. So we hope that you're able to use these in the field like we do here at M5. We've added additional reports. The service level details report, this is the one that's tied to that SLA percent. We hear from our clients that this report, this visual on auto refresh, is the single view that they put on, say, that flat screen over the support desk to manage SLAs within the queue. And what you can do here, you can even adjust the max wait time, which is the x-axis or horizontal axis, and get a sense just by hovering over how well you're doing against that 80% of calls answered threshold. So if I kind of get as close as I can to the intersection here, you can see 77.71% of all calls yesterday at M5 were answered in 1 minute and 35 seconds or less. If this isn't as precise as you'd like, you maybe want to look at the data. Let me remove the chart. And you can see by each and every wait second, what percentage of your calls were answered. So here at M5 yesterday, at 10 seconds of wait time, we answered 44% of our calls. At 30 seconds of wait time, we're at 60%. And then you can precisely see at the 80% of calls answered, how many calls, in fact, that was. It's somewhere between 1 minute and 36 and 1 minute and 37 is where we crossed that 80%. And that's what we saw here graphically. We've added a new report here called Agent Activity. This report will look at yesterday's activity at M5. Just give it a second to load. And here you can get pretty detailed as far as each of your agent's status in queue. We've got both a detailed view and a summarized view. Let me focus first on summarized. And you can look at all agents or you can look at individual agents. So let's pick Dan here. I was testing yesterday. You can see here for yesterday, when did he first go on break? When did he come available? When did he go back on break? Throughout the day. What we've been hearing from our clients is we'd like the ability to use the login and log out status as a kind of punch clock. It gives you a sense of when your agents are coming to work and when they're going home. The first thing that most of the agents do when they come to work is log in, and here you can track that by time based on when they make themselves available and when they sign in. So this is the summarized view. The detailed view will show you when they were offered calls, may highlight some of the calls that they might have missed, but we encourage you to kind of take a look at this, and we can work with you here at M5 to kind of get to the details behind this if this is ever something you're interested in exploring further. But a lot of detail here that you can use to manage your queue. The last tab here, as it's labeled, is call recording. Some of you have taken us up on the beta of our call recording product. We do record inbound queue calls here, and now through this interface, we provide an interface that you can search by queue, search by agent, search by caller ID, play the call recording, as well as download the call recording to your local client. The last version that we made available had just play capabilities that were through the phone. This one is through the PC and has the download capability. So if this is something you're interested in exploring, we encourage you, and this is for, of course, the people that don't have this enabled yet, we encourage you to reach out to your M5 account manager, and this is a service we can enable for you. I will add here, being honest, there is a slight premium for the call recording that we can talk about if you're interested. There's one additional feature I want to highlight here, and there are a couple other things in the background, but there was a request from several of our clients that if a manager by chance logged them out of the queue, or if a agent was logged out because they missed a call, there was no mechanism in the system that told the agent that they were in fact logged out of the queue. They would come back to work after lunch, and they might have been logged out because they didn't log themselves out. But now, as you can see on screen, your reps will have some notification. Here's an example of my manager putting me on break. Let's pretend I'm in this webinar. I'm not in the queue, and my manager's like, hey, I don't want to waste time sending you calls, Brent. So my manager can go in here, put me on break, and now the agent has some visibility to that status change, a status change that was made for them. So we find this is a useful feature, and hope your agents find this useful as well. So overall, these are the major enhancements as part of this release. I hope you see there hasn't been so much cosmetic change that requires a massive amount of training. We've tried to create a very intuitive environment here with user-guided tabs and filters and searches. We've linked now a help screen that brings us back to our wiki with a bunch of articles and detailed information on how to get the most out of the call center. But I hope you all see, certainly we've gotten this feedback from our beta clients, that this is a nice improvement from version 1 that has been out for the last year or so. Let's talk about what's going to happen next Thursday night. So in the wee hours of the morning between midnight on the 28th or 29th and when you all come to work on Friday, we're going to make a change in the back end. If your agents have a URL already bookmarked on how to log into the portal, that will be redirected to a brand new URL, user.m5net.com/m5cc. I think some of you have some very interesting URLs that are out there. We've centralized that and unified it. It's much simpler, one URL for everyone. We do want you to test that Flash interface on your current existing agent portal logins. Please just verify that Flash is installed. You have the latest version. If you need any assistance or your staff need any assistance, please reach out to M5 support and we can help you ensure that that plugin is installed. Flash is required to operate the new interface that I've just demonstrated. We want to talk about active service now. Some of you might have heard this in our messaging. We believe this is really how we define the service that we provide our customers. We strongly believe in Net Promoter Score. You've all been surveyed, hopefully, many, many times and give us feedback on demand, at will, giving us, a score on 1 to 10. Part of that active service pledge is being more proactive. And what we're proposing today, and we're going to ask you some more feedback after the webinar, is an offer to you all within a few months, probably, and actually it's going to start in the first quarter of next year, an offer to come back to you set up a time to review what you're doing. Look at your call flow. Review the data, which we find so important in running an optimal call center. Understand the routing and maybe suggest some best practices or some different ways to approach service vis-a-vis the call center functionality. There will be no charge for this consultation. We think this is part of the service that you signed up for M5 with, and we need to do a better job reaching out to you to look at what you're doing and help you use the voice more strategically to provide the best service you can. So sometime in the early part of Q1 of next year, expect an invitation from your account manager and someone on the call center team to set up a time to review the data with you, with your team leads, and see what we can do to help improve service with the call center.